Alright guys, so today I'll be presenting my ARO training method versus traditional bodybuilding, and it's a comparative analysis of training and nutritional strategies. So first is, what is ARO training? ARO training is what I call adaptive response optimization, and what this means is it's a training that focuses on aligning workout intensity with the individual's recovery capacity. This personalized approach ensures that as recovery markers improve, training intensity can be increased for optimal performance. So this is pretty much making sure that you listen to your body and you change your diet or your exercise according to what your body is telling you. The core principle of ARO. The core principle of ARO is to match your training stimulus or your stress with recovery capacity. On days of high readiness, intensity is increased, while on low readiness days, the volume or intensity is reduced to prevent overtraining. And what this does is it actually lets you be able to see your results more consistently. I'm not saying faster, but more consistently and in a straightforward way. So this is traditional. What happened? This is traditional bodybuilding here. Traditional bodybuilding employs a fixed progressive overload approach regardless of how recovered you are. In contrast, ARO emphasizes adaptability, allowing for more sustainable gains without drastic fluctuations in body composition. So what this does is you're not seeing ups and downs, like one day you gain 10 pounds, the other day you lose 10 pounds. You know, like y'all have seen me, I just consistently, and you see my graphs, I consistently lose weight. There's no up and downs besides my weekend cheat days. Overall, besides my weekend cheat days, I gain weight for like a day or two. But at the end of the week, when it's time to weigh in, it's consistent progress, consistent weight loss, and I'm keeping what I want to keep, which is the muscle. I'm losing what I want to lose, which is specifically the fat. You know, I listen to my body. I slow down training. I increase calories, lower calories, things like that. And a traditional approach for, let's say, bodybuilding, if you want to lose weight, you keep yourself at 500 calories under your daily to lose weight, and it doesn't really matter what you eat, or if you want to focus on what you eat, you pay attention to that. And then when you want to gain weight, you're eating consistently over your caloric burn, which is, let's say you're eating 500 calories over, and every single day, and without a stop, you're eating 500 more calories, a caloric surplus every day, no matter what, no matter how you feel, no matter how much your body recovers. You're saturating your body with nutrients. So those are the two different ways that it happens. Next one, ARO nutrition strategy. So I'm going to go ahead and focus on the ARO nutrition and why it's so specific. The ARO approach actually focuses on the keto diet, and there's two ways that it helps you. One is high protein, and the other one is low carbs. So putting these two things together, it actually promotes enhanced fat metabolism. You're burning fat constantly, not just when you're working out, not just when you're not eating, not just when you're eating, but constantly, 24/7, you'll be burning fat. This nutritional strategy aids in keeping the body in a state of ketosis, which helps in maintaining energy levels while reducing body fat. The other thing this does, which is very important, is the high protein. The high protein intake actually helps by giving your muscles everything it needs to rebuild, to maintain, and to feel satiated without actually having excess calories. And that's actually what helped me lose fat while keeping my muscle, and I kept every bit of it. I even increased it towards the end when I started working out. Your traditional fat your traditional approach to fat loss, which is a calorie what's the opposite of surplus? Deficit, which is a calorie deficit, is negative 500 calories. You're eating your carbs, you're eating your fats, you're eating your sugars, and you're just focusing on how many calories you're actually eating versus how many calories your body needs, which results in a deficit. And yes, this works. It is basically a very simple method, but what happens is you're not focusing on fat burning, you're focusing on overall weight loss. And what this means is that as you lose weight, you're not eating enough protein, and your body starts taking what it needs from your muscles, so you end up losing 20 to 30% of your muscle gains or your existing muscle. Your muscle develops very slowly, it builds up very slowly. So you're talking about 3 to 6 months worth of muscle gains that you lose just on a calorie deficit in traditional weight loss. ARO meal timing. The strategic fasting windows are an integral component of ARO. It's designed to boost human growth hormone production and enhance ketosis. By limiting eating to specific intervals, your individuals optimize muscle recovery and fat utilization. So the interesting thing about this is my own method that I made. But what happens is you're focusing on eating your calorie deficit. So let's say 1,500 calories, 1,200 calories for women, 1,500 for men. And you're focusing it on protein and fats only. So meat and eggs, steak and eggs, avocados, a little bit of, always include your vegetables, obviously. So very, very low carb, less than 15 grams of carb. So you'll be focused on that. And what this does is by maintaining like a fast. So over here, this is a strategic fasting window. So you're doing a 16, 20, 23 hour fast, right? And what this does is it tells your body it's hungry, and then you eat, right? So after 20 hours, 16 hours, you eat. And how it works is your body starts adapting to that strategic intake of calories. And what it says is it starts becoming very efficient on how much protein it's going to use, how much fat it's going to use for certain body regulations. So this much goes to the muscles, this much goes to the organs, this much goes to blah blah blah, and the rest it gets from burning fat. So by doing that, your body becomes very, very efficient. The traditional way is you're eating five to six meals every day. In traditional bodybuilding or weight loss, you're eating 5 to 6 meals a day on building your muscles back, right? It's called bulking. And in those 5-6 meals, you're eating a surplus of calories every single time until you're eating 500 calorie surplus. So on bulking specifically, what it does is that surplus of calories, that surplus of nutrients makes your body sluggish. And what it does is it makes your body not very efficient, and you will see gains, but you also see muscle gain and fat gain. In the traditional ARO method, when you include fasting, you'll see muscle gain with very, very little fat gain. And I'm talking about 2, 3, 4, 5% less fat gain than traditional bulking. And how this works with weight loss is your body remains in ketosis, which is fat burning. Well, actually it remains in ketosis all the time. But the reason for the 16, 20, or 23 hour fasting is because when you're in ketosis, there's a second level of ketosis which your body activates called autophagy, and it just starts cleaning your entire body. It does a full body scan, destroys all damaged cells. It increases your mental capability, increases your thought process, kills cancer cells, anything like that, And that's why it's so important to reach that autophagy level, which is 16 hours plus, so you get the most benefits out of it. I mean, if you're not gonna eat, you might as well make the most out of it. If you only need to eat 1,500 calories, 1,200 calories for women, and you can get that in a single meal, which you can, you might as well just make it work in a single meal to increase the benefits of autophagy. A lot of people don't know what it is. There's an immense amount of benefits to autophagy, and one of them is called HGH production, the human growth hormone production. And this human growth hormone actually increases muscle recovery and muscle building or muscle growth by a really, really good amount. And I'll keep talking about this later. ARO training guidance. So with ARO, your daily training intensity is dictated by your morning body metrics such as heart rate and recovery status. This flexible approach allows individuals to adjust their workouts based on recovery capacity and maximize their training effectiveness. Here's the thing. You wake up in the morning, right? And you take your beats per minute, your heart rate. And over 7 days, you take it consistently every morning. You don't even get up. You stay laying down. You take your heart rate. Right? Very simple. Just get a cheap heart rate monitor or something from Harbor Freight. They're really cheap over there. Less than $10, I think. And then one other thing you need to have is that little grip strength test meter. So you wake up in the morning. You put on your blood pressure monitor. It also checks your heart rate. You get it checked, right? Let's say your normal is 75 beats per minute over 7 days. That's your average. And then you grab your little grip strength tester and you squeeze it as hard as you can. And let's say it's 150 grip strength, right? That's your average over 7 days. Let's say one day you wake up and your 75 beats per minute is actually like 68 or even 65 beats per minute. All right. And then you check your grip strength and you're fully recovered and you're doing 170, 180. Right? That means your body is ready to go to the next level and make a more intense workout. On the opposite side, right? If your body, if you check your BMR and your BMR is 10% or more higher, for example, your average is 75 and now it's like 85 or 90, right? You wake up with a really high heart rate and you do a grip strength test and it's like less than 150, like 130. That means your body has not finished recovering, right? And you come over here and you do a little bit less on your workout. So instead of 12 reps, you're doing 10, 8, 4 reps instead of 12 reps on a superset, right? So you're actually doing less because your body is literally showing you in numbers that it's not ready to go to the next level. It's not ready to even train in a normal capacity. Compared to traditional bodybuilding, we're talking about traditional bodybuilding says increase 5 pounds every week. Do the same amount of work every time. If you're not tired, if you're not exhausted by the end of the day, you haven't done anything. If you're not sore the next day, you haven't done squat. And that's the major difference. So the results here is that over the course of, let's say, 3 months, you're gonna be the same amount of muscle. You're gonna be the same amount of less fat, obviously, for ARO. But the major difference is that for ARO you see consistent progress, and for bulking you have bulking and cutting over the course of every 3 months or whatever, or every 6 months. You know. So with bulking you'll be gaining fat and muscle, and you'll look fluffy. You know. And with ARO, you just see yourself be getting bigger and more defined the longer you do it. So ARO actually provides more nutrient dense muscles, more strength per pound of muscle. So a lot of people call this farm strength or prison strength. So you'll be like super defined, and you'll be able to be really strong for your size. Compared to bodybuilding, which bodybuilding you end up with really water saturated muscles whenever you eat so much, you know, covered in fat, and you'll look strong, but when you go on your cutting phase you're actually weaker than ARO, you know. So let's go on to the next slide. So the body composition, which is where I was going to, the goal of ARO is progressive improvement in body composition. This is exemplified by my personal example. You know, over 2 months I dropped from 22% to 16% body fat while preserving muscle mass. This approach focuses on sustainable changes rather than drastic fluctuations in body weight, which is the traditional way of not even bodybuilding, of just changing. You know, everybody says, well, I'm gonna go on a cut, or I'm gonna start losing weight. Now I want to build muscle, so I'm gonna go on a bulk, gain size. you know. So traditionally, a person just boosts himself up on a bulk and eats a surplus of food every day, and you get that fluffiness, and then you go on a cut, and in that cut you still lose your 20 to 30% of the muscle you gained during your muscle bulk, you know. So you see these ups and downs, these hills and valleys, and what this does is not only for your body, because it takes a couple of weeks for your body to get changed to this entirely different lifestyle before it finally adapts to it, but it also hits your psychology. You know, one day you're severely overweight, and then the next time you're starving, you know. And what ARO does in comparison is you're keeping your fasting, you're keeping your keto diet, you're keeping everything that you're used to, and you're only making slight changes to see the same amount of change. And this helps with your mind. You know, you every week I was super excited to know, this isn't to guess, to know that I was gonna drop another 2 pounds by the end of the week. Okay, same thing with when I start bulking, or when I start my ARO bulking phase. I'm gonna be expecting a certain amount of muscle growth every week, you know. And with bulking and cutting, it's really hard to know that, because such a vast difference in carbs, fats, and all that every single day. And every single day your muscles start expanding after every meal, and then you start cutting. So you really don't know what to expect. You know, on a normal bulking phase, you wake up in the morning and you're 7 to 10 pounds underweight, and then by the end of the day you've gained 10 to 15 pounds every single day, you know. So you don't even know what to expect by the end of it, and you look at your body in the mirror and you're like, this isn't what I want, but now I have to wait another 6 months for my cutting phase to actually even look a little bit better and be less strong. Like, it's too many hills and valleys, you know. So this is the basic foundation of ARO, is the ARO metabolic adaptation. I didn't even I haven't hit the gym yet. It's been it's been like 3 months, and I'm in my bulking phase now, and I have not hit the gym. My muscle growth has been slowly increasing anyway, just by basic body weight workouts. But all this is only possible through my foundation, my metabolic foundation. So ARO emphasizes maintaining metabolic flexibility through consistent patterns and in nutrition and training. This adaptability allows individuals to respond to various fitness demands without sacrificing progress or performance. So what I did in the beginning was I focused on diet, on maintaining my proper diet patterns. And after that I focused on maintaining my fasting patterns. And after that I started integrating my exercises, and this was over the course of 3 months. So I didn't just hit the gym and the diet will come later, just so I could see progress immediately. No, I established a foundation. So I slowly trained my body to adapt and to be more efficient nutrient wise, and be more efficient repairing muscles, you know. And that way I can continue building on these good habits of fasting, good habits of proper dieting, and good habits of consistent exercise. Once you got those 3 things down, you can actually start increasing calories, you can actually start increasing exercise, and start building up on that foundation. So traditional bodybuilding nutrition. Traditional bodybuilding relies on high carbohydrate, high protein diets, which is a lot of rice, a lot of chicken, you know, a lot of eggs, often featuring dramatic phase changes between bulking and cutting cycles. This approach can lead to significant fluctuations in body fat and energy levels, especially. So if my point being is these many changes, actually only 37% of the people that start traditional bodybuilding or traditional, you know, fitness, includes bulking and cutting. Only 30% of them remain after a year. So they stay consistent and they want to do it again. But for ARO training and similar workouts, you get up to 67% retention in people wanting to maintain that lifestyle. So just by doing that, psychologically, you're making a big difference, and you're able to do this long term and see consistent progress over time. Instead of just a small little, oh man, when I was your age, I used to be big, and now look at me, I'm nothing. you know. So the traditional bodybuilding meal timing. In traditional bodybuilding, multiple meals are consumed throughout the day to create an anabolic environment. This frequent eating pattern aims to maximize nutrient availability for muscle growth and recovery. And what this does is you're focusing on muscle hypertrophy. And in layman's terms, this means muscle growth. You're focusing on size. It's not strength. It's not flexibility. It's just muscle size. You're just literally focusing on muscle size, and along with that muscle size, your entire body just gets really fluffy. You know. And in comparison with ARO, you're not focusing on muscle size or hypertrophy with ARO. You're focusing on muscle recovery. You're focusing on health, muscle health. You're focusing on muscle strength, which is a more usable strength overall, or more usable muscle physique. You know, and then you go from there. It's healthier. You know, you're not fluctuating. So traditional bodybuilding training guidance. The training in traditional bodybuilding focuses on fixed progressive overload regardless of an individual's recovery status. This rigid approach can lead to overtraining when recovery is incomplete and impacting overall performance and results. And this is true. Like you want to see results fast. Oh, I'm still sore, I'm going to go to the gym anyway. You don't check how ready your body is, or if it's still in recovery, or if it's ready to overtrain and do intensive workouts, you know. And that's the biggest issue is it's a one size fits all mentality. Traditional bodybuilding composition fluctuation. Traditional bodybuilding often results in cyclical fluctuations, with body fat levels spiking above 20% during bulking phases, only to be reduced during cutting phases. This roller coaster effect can lead to dissatisfaction and inconsistent results. I just finished talking about this. Not only do your body fat levels spike above 20% in your bulking phase, but your muscle percentage actually drops 20 to 30% in your cutting phases. So that's why a lot of people get dissatisfied with that, with a lot of with remaining consistent. Your metabolic adaptation. I focus a lot on your metabolism during ARO. So the fixed routines in traditional bodybuilding foster specialization, but at the expense of metabolic flexibility. This can lead to challenges in adapting to changes in training demands and dietary habits, potentially hindering progress. So what this means is that in your cutting phase and your bulking phases or whatever, your body's used to receiving all these nutrients during your bulking phase, and out of nowhere you just cut them by 30 to 50%, you know, because you're starting to cut. You're reducing carbs, you're focusing more on proteins and fats and all that junk, and what that does to your body is it thinks it's starving, and it immediately goes into starvation mode and says, oh my god, there's an emergency. We're used to receiving a caloric surplus, and now we're going into a caloric deficit, negative 500 calories, negative even 1,000 calories, and now it goes into starvation mode. Your metabolic changes into starvation mode. It starts throwing all the fat as it can, because it's saying, oh well, we're in a hunger strike here. We need to survive. So it starts storing every bit of it into fat, and over time your weight loss slows down. It's not used to burning fat, so you're wasting weeks transitioning between fat burning and carb burning, you know, and you're wasting a lot of process which could be used, which could have been prevented with a proper foundation. And you just say, you know what, eventually I'm going to burn fat, I might as well just start focusing on it now and just stop eating carbs, you know, which is the ARO method. So your body really loses efficiency. Your body's good at adapting, but it's not. It has to be trained to be efficient. Psychological effects of ARO. The ARO method promotes consistent satisfaction with one's appearance, fostering sustainable habits and reduced dietary-related stress. Users report higher confidence levels as their approach allows for flexibility, accommodating personal recovery and mental well-being. It's like a little little boost in hormones, your happy hormone in your body, where you see progress after progress after progress, week after week after week. No real changes in fluctuations in weight, no real changes in fluctuations in muscle loss or fat gain. And the good thing about this ARO thing is the more muscle you have, okay, this is something that happens. The more muscle you have, the bigger muscle, the stronger muscle, whatever you have, it actually becomes a carb storage or sugar storage. So whenever you have a cheat meal, it actually stores it in your muscles instead of converting it to fat, up to I don't know how many carbs. So this is the reason why I can eat and have entire cheat weekends within my fasting schedule and eat whatever I want. And by Tuesday, I'll already be going back to my normal weight, because it's not storing it as fat. It's not converting all those carbs into fat. It's actually storing them in my muscles so they could use it immediately. And what this results is at the end of the week, you're seeing either weight loss for fat loss, or you're seeing weight gain as muscle mass, consistently every single week, instead of the valleys and hills that you see from traditional bodybuilding with bulking and cutting. And now that we're onto that, traditional bodybuilding can lead to periods of dissatisfaction due to fluctuating body composition, primarily during bulking phases. The cyclical nature of this approach contributes to increased stress around dietary choices and overall mental health. I don't think I need to explain this. Every 3 to 6 months, you're going from an overeating phase to an undereating phase. You're going from feeling fat all the time and being full and bloated all the time to starving. You can't tell me this is good for you, especially for your body, which adapts, and it takes about sometimes even a month to make that change. So you're losing a month of efficiency, a month of muscle growth, a month of fat loss, just to adapt to this change. And you're spending the rest of the month feeling starved or feeling bloated. I mean, to me, this isn't a good use of your time, especially because whenever you're bulking, you're losing all the progress of your cut. You're gaining all the fat you just lost during your cut. And whenever you're cutting, you're losing all the muscle of your bulk. So this is pretty much and your overall mental health is you're watching your body change consistently and drastically. Whenever you feel good, whenever you look good and cut and your muscles bulk, you're losing your PRs. You're losing the strength that you used to have whenever you're bulking. And whenever you're bulking, you feel stronger, but you look like a bloated garbage bag, The physical effects of ARO. ARO training results in denser muscle tissues while maintaining definition and enhanced recovery capacity. The method improves metabolic flexibility, allowing individuals to adapt quickly to varying training intensities. So the good thing about this is you wake up in the morning. Let's say I wake up in the morning, my heart rate is, I think yesterday was at 52. So I said, you know what, I'm feeling good. I'm gonna try to hit my training for today, which is a little bit over, and because I listened to my body, I actually did a set of 12, another set of 12, and a set of 10, which is the highest I've done so far. And the good thing about this is when I get home, I'll probably include like another chest workout, because I do separate. I keep my habits. If I'm working out and I'm doing something certain during lunch hour, then I'm gonna just add stuff towards the end of the day. It's compartmentalizing, and it actually allows your body to recover so they can push harder towards the end. So it's 2 training sessions, right? And then I separate my eating time. So I eat my meals like normal, and then after my workout, I add the extra 500 calories on that specific day for that specific purpose. And what this does is the nutrients get sent to where they need to go at that certain time, and it keeps my metabolic flexibility instead of just always being bloated, always being full, and then the opposite, always being starving. And your body doesn't know what to do. It randomly sends stuff to become fat. It randomly sends something to your muscles to regenerate. You're all over the place. Physical effects of traditional bodybuilding. I've been saying about this entire time. Hypertrophy. The traditional bodybuilding emphasizes larger muscle size, often at the expense of muscle definition during cutting phases. This approach may lead to potential metabolic adaptation issues, hindering long-term progress. You're losing a month or two just adapting to the bulking phase or just adapting to the cutting phase, and you're over here having to rebuild muscle every single time. You're losing months. It takes 6 months to just build back what you lost during your cutting. The best approach is to just remain cut and build muscle at the same time, which is the benefits of the ARO method. The ARO method, it creates a sustainable approach with less drastic swings in body composition. It makes a healthier relationship with food and exercise, and it proves effective for long-term fitness goals without detrimental effects on mental health. So you're happy with your body consistently. You're happy with your body all the time. You don't feel guilty about cheat days because you know that it's going to go into your muscles, not into your fat. Your muscles are going to use it during the week. In 2 days, it will be gone. It creates sustainable progress and consistency. ARO promotes consistent improvement in body composition, supporting long-term adherence to fitness regimens. This adaptable approach enhances resilience, ensuring individuals can maintain their progress even amidst lifestyle changes. You already built habits. You're building habits on habits long-term. Not at one point in time do you feel like you're moving backwards. This consistency becomes a foundation, and the foundation becomes a stronghold. And that is the end of this presentation about the differences between ARO and traditional bodybuilding. If you want to know more, just don't hesitate to hit me up. This is based on what people call precision training, but I included fasting, I included keto dieting, I included all the benefits of everything I could do to see consistent progress. So I did lose, I lost 10 to 12 pounds a month. At one point I was losing more than that, and I didn't like it, and I had to increase my caloric intake. But it's super sustainable. I reduced my fasting from 23 hours to 20 hours, but you need to listen to your body, and if you need help with this, just get with me. We can talk about it. We can build something together, So hit me up. Tell me what y'all think about this.